What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today we're going to be talking about how truck values are going down. Now, I'm making this video to reinforce my last video that I posted about how even though vehicle values are dropping, dealers refuse to actually lower prices. Now, we're going to be going over the most popular trucks, compact and full-size vehicles, and we're also going to be throwing in some electric vehicles. So if you've bought an electric truck in the last 2 years, make sure to grab some tissue and watch to the end because unfortunately I got some really bad news for you. So I stumbled across this article from Forbes, and they were talking about how unobtainable buying a new truck is and how the affordability has basically gotten out of the hands of most Americans. Now, I decided to look online and see what the average truck was going for, and it absolutely blew my mind. Now, the average new car is selling for somewhere around $45,000 to $46,000, depending on what reference you use. But for an average new car price, you're looking at about $60,000, which is insane. So once again, the average American salary is somewhere around $40,000. So the average person can't even afford the average new truck. Now, I believe the truck market is in a really bad place. These vehicles are utilitarian vehicles meant to be used either for hobbies or for your work. But for some reason, the prices of the way they're going now are absolutely insane. Now, I've showed in a few of my videos how you can buy some of these fully loaded trucks for over $120,000. Now, let's go ahead and check the car values. And so the first vehicle we're going to be starting off with is the Ford Maverick. Now, this was Ford's attempt to make an affordable truck, but a lot of people that purchased these things during the pandemic realized that wasn't the case because they were still charging way over MSRP. So what we're going to be using is what's called MMR, which is wholesale auction numbers. It's what us dealers pay at auction for vehicles. So if you were to purchase a 2022 Maverick, you would be paying about $31,600 at auction. Now, about 6 months ago, you're looking at somewhere around $31,300. So not too bad. You lost about $300 in value in 6 months. But if we go to the last 30 days, you've seen there's been a massive drop all the way down to $26,900. Now, I believe the reason why is because a lot of people bought these Maverick trucks thinking this would replace their F-150. But these trucks are great trucks for small uses, but not for something like heavy duty construction, pulling trailers. So I think that's why these cars are going down in values, because people are trading these things in and stepping back up to a Ford F-150. Now, the next car we're going to be talking about is the most popular truck in the United States and the best selling. It is the Ford F-150. Now, for these actual numbers, we decided to use a 2021 Ford F-150 Crew Cab 4x4 that was a Lariat model. So last year, you could have got this thing for $50,200 at auction. Now, if we fast forward 6 months, it dropped to $48,100. Now, a little bit of a drop, but not too crazy. But if we look in the last 30 days, it's dropped all the way down to $42,200. Once again, the affordability of trucks is getting very expensive. And if regular people are trying to buy a used truck with the average miles of it being $39,000, that's quite a bit of money. So that means that banks are not going to give you that big of a term. They're probably going to cut it down to maybe 54 months or even 48 months. So this will affect people actually paying full price. Now, if you look right next there, you see projected average for next month, they're expecting it to lose $2,000 in value in the next 30 days. This is the trend we're going to see for overpriced vehicles. Now, the reason why I picked the Lariat is because you're going to see that some of these highly optioned models are not going to be holding its value. Now, during the pandemic, they got all the money for them, but now people are just going to get a regular work truck because what's the point of paying all this money for a truck and losing almost a quarter of your value in the last 6 months? Now, the next truck we're going to be talking about is a Dodge Ram TRX. Now, these things were extremely popular when they first came out. I remember everybody was grabbing these things. They're all over YouTube. And since they were so popular, dealers decided to sell these things way over MSRP. I remember trying to get one for my dad, and the dealer here in Vegas wanted $28,000 over MSRP. So let's go ahead and see how these trucks are doing today. Now, if you were to buy one last year at auction, you would pay somewhere around $89,500. Fast forward 6 months, you're looking at about $90,300. So it actually went up a little bit. The reason why is because I believe this was still the market where people were still trying to sell these things and get more money for them, still thinking the value was there. But if we look in the last 30 days, a lot has changed because the market is cooling down, the demand is not there, and people are starting to trade these things in because they're just absolutely buried in them. Now, $81,000 is what it dropped to. So it almost lost $10,000 in value in 60 days. That's insane. And if we look at next month's projections, it says it's somewhere around 80,000 or 81,000. I think it's going to go a lot less because I've heard a lot of stories from these Dodge dealers talking about how people are trying to trade these things in and they owe way more than what they're worth. So I believe this is going to be the Dodge Charger of trucks. There's going to be a lot of people that are buried in these things. They're going to start walking away because to pay $120,000 for this truck and find out that you can buy these things now on like Craigslist, Facebooks for $70,000 to $80,000 is kind of a big slap in the face. So I think this is one that's actually going to take a bigger hit. So if you're looking to get one of these things, wait a few months. I promise you'll get a good deal. Now, the next truck we're going to be talking about is a Toyota Tacoma. Now, these things traditionally are one of the best value holding trucks on the market. They have an absolute diehard cult when it comes to these vehicles. Now, I've seen older ones back in like the 1990s still going for $10,000 to $20,000, which is absolutely insane. So let's see what a 2021 Toyota Tacoma SR5 does. That's a 4x4 crew cab in 2023. So last year, if you were to purchase this at auction, you'd be paying around $35,800, which seems actually not that bad. Still seems like a pretty decent deal. Fast forward 6 months, it goes up in value over $1,000 to $36,900. But in the last 60 days, once again, we're watching those prices drop. Now, this is probably one of the only cars I'm going to tell you this. I think the projected average of next month is wrong. I think these trucks are going to go up. The reason why is because there are no affordable Toyota Tacomas. If you go to a dealership now, these things cost just as much as some of these Dodge Ram F-150s and stuff like that. Like, it's no longer the great, affordable, reliable truck. Now they're pricing it almost like a full-size truck. And so what's going to happen is a lot of the people that have the older Tacomas are going to hold on to them, and it's going to make those ones that are out in the market that much more valuable. Plus, if people are trying to stay under a $600 payment, these are the trucks they're going to be going after because remember, interest rates for a used car, the average one's around 11%. So you're right around this marker. So watch vehicle values of Toyota Tacomas actually go up in the next 6 months. Now, the next one we're going to do is stay in the Toyota family and go with the Toyota Tundra. Now, once again, these are a very popular full-size truck, but not as popular as most of the American ones. But I do have friends that love these cars, and I've had a lot of customers ask for them. So let's see what the value is on a full-size Japanese truck. Now, last year, if you were to purchase this thing, you'd be paying around $39,800 at auction. Fast forward 6 months, and once again, this is another vehicle that actually went up in value instead of down. But in the last 60 days, if you can see, we lost over $4,000 in value that quick. Now, this, I believe, is actually going to drop even faster because the projected average of next month is saying somewhere around $35,000. I think it's going to be more like $33,000. Don't know why. People absolutely love the Tacomas, but there's not that many people that are chasing these Tundras. I remember buying 3 or 4 of these Tundras, really nice, the TRD Pros, thinking I would sell them really fast. My Tacomas, I sold quickly. My 4Runners, I sold quickly. And my Toyota FJs, I sold quickly. But these things lingered on my lot for almost 4 months. Nobody wanted them. I had to drop the price 3 times to get rid of them. So I think that now that the Tundras are not that popular, plus I think they have the worst gas mileage out of all the full-size trucks, I think these things are actually going to go down. So if you're looking to buy a Toyota Tundra, now's your time here in the next few months. Now, the next truck we're going to be talking about is the second best-selling truck in America. That is the Chevy Silverado. Now, once again, these also have a cult-like following when it comes to these vehicles. So let's see what a 2021 Chevy Silverado Crew Cab 4-door goes for. Now, last year, you could have purchased one of these things for $40,800 at auction. Fast forward, it actually dropped to $35,000. So here's another crew cab, full-size truck, 4x4, that dropped in value. Now, I was actually shocked by this because most Chevy trucks that I've had literally sell a lot faster. Even though Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, anytime I get a Silverado, that's the fastest-selling full-size truck that I got. But if we look, in the last 30 days, it's dropped another $4,000 in value, all the way down to $31,000. Now, I honestly can't tell you the reasons why. These are great trucks, great build quality. The LS is bulletproof. And then they're showing projected average of next month somewhere around $30,800. In my opinion, I think this is going to go the other way because all these trucks that are out there right now, like I said, if you try to buy a new Silverado that's similar like this, you're spending around $70,000 to $80,000. So I think everything that's a little bit more affordable on the truck end is probably going to hold its value, if not go up a little bit, because trying to buy some of these new trucks at 8 to 10% interest is not going to work out. So people are going to be going for these type of affordable trucks. All right, now we're going to be talking about electric trucks. Now make sure you bring out your tissue because a lot of these trucks, the numbers are absolutely heartbreaking. We're going to start off with the first one, which is the Ford Lightning. Now, I personally had a friend that bought a 2023 Ford Lightning Platinum. I believe it was about $99,000 was the MSRP, and he paid $25,000 over MSRP to a Las Vegas dealer here so he can get his name on the list. Well, he got it, and now this is what they're going for. If you get a Platinum Edition one, if you look, last year, there's nothing there because obviously they're brand new, they weren't selling, people were holding on to them. So if we fast forward 6 months, we get our first base price of $87,400. Now remember, the MSRP on these things were $99,000, and most people paid $20,000 to $30,000 over MSRP. So just keep that in mind. This is what they're going for at auction. Now, in the last 30 days, you can see it literally nosedived to $73,000. Now, as the reliability issues of electric vehicles have been hit there, because even though electric cars are great and they're the future, charging them is probably one of the biggest pains, and you're going to see this reflected all the way across all these electric trucks. But I believe that the future projections is going to be even less because I just left an auction last week and I saw one of these things, not even the Platinum version, I think it was like a regular F-150 with 10,000 miles, went for under $60,000 at auction. I think it was like 52, 53. So I believe these things are on a trend to go even lower than this. So don't be surprised if this thing's hovering around 67,000. Now the next one is an absolute heartbreaker. I personally love these things, but is the Hummer EV. Now when these things first came out and started showing the crab walk and all the amazing features, people lost their minds. I remember going to my GM dealership here, asking for a favor if I can get on there, and they would not sell me a car unless I was willing to pay $70,000 over MSRP. That is not a joke. For a $100,000 SUV, I think the base price was like $5,000. They wanted $70,000 above that, plus you had to pay sales tax. So just let that sink in for a moment. People were literally fighting for these things. I remember these things selling on Bring a Trailer for almost $200,000. I think it was like $195 when they first came out. Now let's see what the prices are going for when it comes to vehicle values. So if we look right here, last year, they were selling for around $175,000 at auction because a lot of people bought them, the allocations, and they got them before they got popular and before the pandemic went nuts, and they just took them to the auction, turned around and sold them and made $75,000 like that. But if we fast forward 6 months from now, if you could notice, there's nothing at auction. The reason is because everybody was keeping these things because they thought that, they were going to make all this money. So I remember people buying these things for $160, $170 at auction to retail on their lots for $180 to $190. Now in the last 30 days, the market's completely changed. If you look right here, in the last 30 days, they're selling for about $118,000. That is almost a $60,000 drop from a year ago. Just let that sink in. And like I said, almost everybody I know paid way over MSRP. Now, this is another one. I believe that the future projection is off because this is saying it's going to drop all the way down to $106,000 a month. So they're going to lose an additional $10,000 in value. I think it's going to go one step further. I actually believe that this is going to be under the $99,000 marker next month because you can now buy these things at the dealership. You just have to fight and see if you can get an allocation because so many people now are buying these things and holding them thinking that they can still sell them for way over MSRP are realizing they're not. If you go on Car Gurus, I think the average days on market for these things is like 70 something days. So people are going to start being desperate and getting rid of these things. So watch how these things work themselves to dealerships and to auctions and start selling at MSRP. And then eventually, hopefully in the middle of 2024, these things will be selling under MSRP at the auction. Now, the last truck we're going to be talking about is the Rivian. Now, when I first saw this, I kind of laughed. It was kind of a weird bug-eyed truck. I didn't think I would like it. But I'll tell you what, after driving the vehicle for a few days and actually enjoying it, it is actually a really well-made truck. The fit and finish was way better than Tesla. The way it drove, everything else, I actually liked it. And I really haven't heard too many problems. But the biggest thing that I've heard, and the reason why these things are dropping in value, will blow your mind. But first, I want to give you some prices, and then I'll tell you why. So if we look last year, you can see that there's nothing there. It's because these things were extremely popular. Once again, this was another vehicle that was selling for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over MSRP. People were literally buying these and then reselling them up. This was another big one on Bring a Trailer. But if we fast forward 6 months, you see that they were somewhere around $75,000 at auction. Now, this is what the average, like, I guess MSRP was. A lot of people based them all the way out to in the 80s and 90s, but just figure average was about 75. So that's right on par. But if we fast forward in the last 30 days, they've lost almost $10,000 in value. Now, once again, this is due to a lot of reasons. One, the electric infrastructure in the United States absolutely sucks. Now, I live in a big city, so there's multiple chargers everywhere, but you would not believe how fast supercharging of America goes down. A lot of these other ones basically have problems where you're not able to charge and you're waiting long amounts of time. But if you look right here, the projected average for next month is somewhere around 67. I believe this is a lot lower because I'm already seeing these things in the low 50s and sometimes high 40s at auction. So I think these things are going to be tanking here very, very soon. Also, there was a short period where people were talking about Rivian going out of business, which scared a lot of people. And the main reason why I think these values are going to tank, and if you have a Rivian right now, I recommend you sell it, is the actual insurance costs. Now, this is one of the worst vehicles by insurance companies. The reason is you can get hit by 10 miles an hour in the rear quarter panel, and once you buckle that rear quarter panel, it's $60,000 to replace because they have to replace the whole side of your truck all the way up to actually the back of your front door. So all that has to be taken off, and it's somewhere around $60,000 to do that. So that's why you see these things all over at Copart and IAA at auctions, because they get one small ding and that's it. So something they did to cut costs when it comes to building actually hurts them when it comes to maintaining them on the road. And unfortunately, a lot of electric vehicles are getting taxed twice as much when it comes to insurance because of the high repair costs of an electric vehicle. So let me know in the comment section below, do you feel the same way when it comes to electric vehicles and the repair costs? Are you seeing your insurance rise? Also, are you seeing dealers reflect these prices we went over in their pricing when it comes to them selling cars retail? Also, look on Facebook, Craigslist, Marketplace, OfferUp. There are a lot of great deals on there because, unfortunately, I hate to say this, people are more willing to get rid of their cars and lose money than dealers. So there are a lot of great deals on Facebook Marketplace. As a dealer and a wholesaler, believe it or not, 90% of my vehicles come from Facebook, OfferUp, and Craigslist. I get better deals there than actually going to the auction and buying them because I have to pay thousands of dollars in fees, and it's no fun. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please follow us on Instagram at Lucky Lopez. And if you've learned anything or enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.